Hello, Mark.
Hello, Gerald. This is a.
How are you?
I'm good. This is a guy from the Bronx calling a guy from the guy from Brooklyn calling a guy to the Bronx. I've been remembering all morning, 50 years ago, always going across the South Bronx to Jersey and always seeing the South Bronx looking like Berlin in 1945.
Boy, remember that? Yeah, that
Yeah,
really burnt out. Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So my question to you today is considering all of the things that are going on. I mean, the huge sellout by the white shoe boys on Wall Street, climate change, things getting colder, hotter, wetter, more snow, more earthquakes, the bees disappearing, the bats disappearing, governments being just out of their minds with their debt and how I mean, where and with the masses being hypnotized by TV and misled by the mass media, where is this all going to go? How far down do you see us crashing to?
Well, what we're forecasting is that what's going on now is the beginning of the first great war of the 21st century. These aren't one-offs that's going on out there in Libya and in North Africa and Middle East and Egypt and Tunisia and Bahrain, in Yemen, in Oman, and now, of course, they're talking about Saudi Arabia. And this is going to the fundamentals are all the same, and there are basically three of them: high unemployment, particularly among the youth, and you think about it, people 18 to 28, hormones raging, and they're raging mad. They have degrees in worthlessness. And the second element is corruption. They know how corrupt things are, and they know that they're never going to get a fair shake. And thirdly, are rising prices. And food prices, for example, are all-time highs. So if you're a Yemenite, you're making under $2 a day, living under $2 a day. And in Egypt, it's $10 a day, while the top of the pyramid, all the dough's up there. So then you take this and you move it around the world. You think it's any different in Europe? It's the same thing, and the people know it. It's austerity measures, they call it over there. So you have the same angry young people, and taking to the streets. The only difference is, and it's going to be stalled a while, is because they're still gulled into believing that they have a democracy and they can make the change at the ballot box. Just like you saw in Ireland, they put in another loser for the past loser. So the people, they're quieted down. Democracy, as they call it, which isn't democracy at all, has really been a drug, a sedative for revolution. But not that, notwithstanding, the global Ponzi scheme is collapsing, and that's what this is really all about. So that's where we see it going. And then when you add those other elements, like you mentioned, global warming and the bees and the bats dying and on, you know, you almost wonder if the Mayan prophecies are going to be fulfilled. And so that's the way we're looking at it. We see this unraveling at a very rapid rate, and there's no solving it.
No, that's for sure. I mean, especially with Mother Nature getting into the act. This morning was one of the worst earthquakes in recorded history, 8.9, and really slammed into the northern Japan. People were walking around the streets in Tokyo with nowhere to go. The mass transportation system is down. How far do you think governments can go to protect the citizens from what's going to happen? And when will they give up totally?
The governments are a bunch of losers. When are people going to wake up? Oh, and really, I mean, these, like I say, these are the same guys and women you knew in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council. When are people going to grow up? And you couldn't stand them then, and now they're telling us what to do. I mean, Hillary Clinton's the perfect one, you know. These people have never worked a day in their lives. All they've been doing is they've been fed the line of how great they are, and how they continue to try to tell the rest of us what to do, as though they have answers, and they don't. There's nothing that you can look at and say, "Wow, what a great job they did." None of us could get away with this stuff. If they were running a business, they'd be out of business.
Well, I gave up on America. I left 20 years ago. I've been down here in Brazil, and for the last 4 years, I've been building. I live on the coast, but I've been building a survival center about 2,500 kilometers into the interior. So, and I'm about 10 weeks short of finishing.
Oh, good for you.
And it's very funny. My life has been in synchronicity with these major events. My life changed the day after 9/11. I was in an international beach resort town on the northeast coast of Brazil. And the day after, this guy came knocking on my door. It happened to be a Brazilian, but an Arab. His cousin was the only guy, he was a mayor of a town in South Brazil, was the only guy arrested in Brazil in relationship to the 9/11 attacks, and he was let go. And the guy came to me and said, "Look, I need some help. There's two things. I'm just happy that the World Trade Center's come down, and I hate Jews. And I happen to be a Jew, and here he comes looking for me for help." And I did help him, and my life started changing and going up very quickly at that point. And it seems like at every moment that there's a big downdraft, I seem to be lifted up. And now that I'm about to finish my survival center, and the synchronicity of events seems to be threatening again with a huge downdraft. And I haven't convinced my wife even yet to go there, so she doesn't want to hear about the catastrophic news. And it's getting more and more intense every week.
As I said, there's only octogenarians have seen times like this, and nobody else has. This is history. This isn't, as I said, these aren't one-offs. And then when you talk, the other one I left out of the mix, of course, is Israel. That's going to be the powder keg of the Middle East. Saudi Arabia is one of them, obviously with the oil issue,
Mhm.
but that's really the key point over there that could set the whole thing loose. And you know, I you know, people when I anytime I say anything derogatory about Israel, they call me an anti-Semite, which is of course I'm not. But John West and his son Zeke, they both work with me. They're both Jewish. John's father changed the name from Wiesenfeld. Three-quarters of the people. You look at our editorial list over there: Eldad Beneri, Mitch Skolnick, Alex Silberman. So one thing has nothing to do with another. It's like saying I'm anti-American because I want to see Bush be brought to trial as a war criminal. Having said that, they just can't keep stealing land like this, and this thing is going to explode in the Middle East. And now that they're going to be losing support from Egypt as well, so that's the other real wild card over there. And now there's talk going on that Lebanon and Israel, that tensions are flaring up over there. I'm starting to see some signals picking up. So that's the real powder keg. So, I think that a lot of people mistake Israel with Jews, and it's a convenient cop out for anti Semitism that people may be harboring as well.
Mhm.
But the two really have to be made distinct.
Yeah, I won't comment on that because being Jewish, and if I open up my mouth, I'll be called an anti-Semite also because there's many.
Well, that's what John is. That's what he says. He's called he's, matter of fact, use the word white shoe boys.
Mhm.
I get accused of calling it. People write to us, how dare you say white Jew boys? And it reminds me of that old what's her name, Gilda Radner, when she used to do Rosanna Dana, when she talked about Soviet jewelry. And she was doing this whole riff about Soviet jewelry, and she was doing it on Soviet jewelry. But anyway, so that's what the issue is in most of this. And so the Middle East is a huge